Only Wednesday. It could get a lot worse.
I know, and it's just going to continue for about another week. So
it's going to continue for the rest of the semester.
Yeah.
That's cool for you. Okay, so back to where we left off. We were making a glaze palette for Beth, right? And we were going to turn it matte. Now, where did I... No. Oh, yes, that was it. Okay, so I should remember to share my screen. Oh, it's not going to let me. Let me change this. Share the screen. Okay. Okay, everybody freak out, and then we come back to the test matrix. Okay, so here we are. Everybody see the spreadsheet?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, sorry, I keep asking because I can't see it. Once I go to share screen, all I see is my screen. I can't see what you guys see. Okay, so here is the glaze that we started out with, and we just took out the silica from the calcium glaze. Okay, so now we came to the magnesium matte, right? And we couldn't make it matte because when we took out all the silica, it was still over 5:1. Okay, now as we'll talk about later in the lab, that this 5:1 rule is pretty hard. Sometimes some fluxes behave differently, but it's always safe to be under 5:1, except when we get into temperatures beneath cone 10, and then you need to be under 4:1. But that's a discussion for another time. So the problem we have here is that talc is not just magnesium. It's magnesium and silica. So what we need to do is we need to change what the material we're using is, and instead of talc, we want to use magnesium carbonate. Now, we tend not to use magnesium carbonate because it's a crazy fluffy material. It's very low density, and it's harder to incorporate into water. So we're going to do this just to try it, and Beth, you can mix this up and see if it works.
I will.
But it's going to, I'm telling you now, it's going to be a pain in the butt to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I switched out mag carb. I need to go back and rebalance my fluxes here now, though, because my alkali metals are low, my alkali earths are high. So I'm going to take my mag carb, which is currently 28.54. I'm going to take it down to 20, and that brought me closer. I'm at 0.72, but not quite where I want. So I'm going to take it 19. Didn't do it. Take it 18. Okay, now I've got 0.3 to 0.7. My alumina level is basically where I want to be. It took me up 0.01. Like, I'm going to ignore that for now. And now my ratio is at 4:1. So that's good. This glaze, like I said, it's probably going to be a pain in the butt in the studio. But we'll go with that one.
Why?
Because that mag carb is so light,
Uh-huh.
it literally floats on the top of the water. So you're going to have to mix the hell out of it to get it actually in the glaze itself. Okay, it works fine chemically, but it's super duper fluffy. Like when you go into the glaze lab.
I froze.
Huh? I froze? Oh. Hold on. I froze. Oh, did I lose? I lost Beth. Beth disappeared. Oh, bye, Beth. She'll be back in a second. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and do some other details when she comes back. Somebody tell me when she's back.
Okay.
Matt, do you mind if I just made a pot of coffee? If I go grab some?
No coffee. Yes, of course. Go ahead.
I'll be back in a second.
Jess, do you have any questions I can answer while I'm not looking at you and I'm doing other things?
So I'm sure you're going to assign a group thing?
Yep.
A group assignment for this week? Should I go ahead and test those 2 glazes you gave me last week? That should be my...
Right. We're going to have 2 projects going on at once. We're going to have your project and the group project.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead and mix. So we did 1 gloss and 1 matte, right?
Yep.
And then we were talking about, we were talking with you about trying other ROs at cone 6, right? Was that what we were discussing? Right. So, yeah, go and play with the chemistry and see if you can make those other glazes happen. I was looking at the bag of 3185, which is the frit we were talking about using, and it's a mess.
Okay.
You may want to go talk to Keith and see if he's got a new bag of it, because I mean it's unusable.
Okay.
And they really should stock it. He may not have it, or what he has may be so old that it's still gonna be crap.
Okay.
But see if he's got something new. Again, I can't promise that this is gonna work, but hey, it's worth trying.
Right.
And we can go over how to build that glaze again if you want, if you're not too comfortable with it. But I'm going to finish Beth's, and then I'm going to go over the lab, so that's done in case people have to run, and then we can play with your glazes. And we talked with Greg's a little bit earlier.
Okay.
Sorry, I got my chat froze for a second, so I just got back.
You fail.
Like 30 seconds ago. Oh, I know, right?
Unacceptable. Okay, that's all right. I was doing busy work and chatting with Jess. Is Greg back? I can't see him.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Okay. How's the coffee?
It's good.
Okay, good. French press or like drip or?
French press.
Ooh. Okay, and there's
Good stuff.
Okay, wait here. Everybody can see Sophie the whiny basset hound because now she looks back. Come on. Go. House.
Oh.
Saying to Beth, we literally just took her for a walk, so she's just being needy. Okay. So, back to screen share. Okay, so we're gonna bust through Beth really fast, and then we're gonna talk about the lab. Okay, so we changed up the MgO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Using the mag carb.
Yeah.
So now the same goes. Now we go back to the strontium to make that matte. Take the flint out. Oops, don't hit down page, and everything stays balanced because by taking out flint, we're just moving to the left on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So the glaze will go matte. We're under 5-1, pretty easy. So there's strontium. Here's barium. Again, it's not magic, and we do zinc. We take it out. So there you go. There's 10 glazes to try. So actually, what I want you to do for this week, Beth, is I will post these on Blackboard.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to just mix up these 10 glazes.
Okay.
You don't even have to do the color. Just mix up the 10 glazes. Make sure they work okay. They should. And then...
So get them in a kiln?
Yeah, get them in a kiln. We should have a Cone 10 kiln on Monday, I want to say, but I'll have to coordinate with Conrad.
Okay. Is there much difference between 9 and 10?
No, not particularly.
Okay.
It's. I mean, as I was saying earlier, temperature is a very relative concept.
Yeah.
So 10 is generally where things work. Some glazes can be cold.
Mm-hmm.
For Cone 9, but they're okay. Now would I say is Cone 8 and Cone 10 the same? That's enough of a gap where I'd really want to be going hotter. But 9 and 10,
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go over this week's lab, and then we can talk with Jess about her problems or with her research, and Greg as well if we have time. But you guys have to go at 5:30. Or kiln meetings at 5:30?
It's at 6:30.
Oh, it's at 6. Oh, I can waste all your time. Oh, okay.
In her hangout, this is a great group.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we have this whole thing of stall, right? And it's really cool. But we're going to do 2 investigations this year that I think are going to show something really cool. So we talked about how we have our alkali metals, lithium, sodium, potassium, and we have our alkali earths. And the alkali earths, I always say, are magnesium, calcium, strontium, and barium. Okay, that's that second column of the periodic table. But we have a few anomalies. Okay, we have zinc, which we're already working with. Zinc acts as an alkaline earth flux. Okay, but we also have some other ones. So this is something. Let's see. Where is it? Manganese. Okay, so I know Greg knows Grant, but does you guys know Grant Akiyama?
Yep.
Okay, so last year in this class, Grant did something really cool. where he and I were discussing fake metallic glazes, which tend to be heavy manganese glazes. And so we had sort of said, hey, okay, well, how's that working? And we started to look at the UMF, and then we sort of came up with this discussion that manganese is actually an RO flux. Okay, so the list actually goes magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, zinc, manganese. So what Grant did last year is he did all these tests, but he recreated Stull with manganese, which you can see here, and it worked perfectly. It was amazing. Okay, this is like a totally new thing. No one's ever done this before. So we then went and looked at the list and said, hey, iron is also an RO flux. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to recreate Stull with iron. Okay. So what we've got here is a series of tests that will recreate Stull, and they're a little bit complicated. We're going to take you through how the system works. 6, 7. Okay, so what we've got are a series of line blends, and what these line blends are is that they represent one line on Stull. So if I come back on Stull, what we're going to do is I've created a series of tests that say start here at 0.2 alumina, and it's got a starting point, and then you've got several points that go all the way across to here. Okay? And then we've got 0.3 alumina, and then we've got several points over to here, 0.4.
We can't see I can't see the Stull chart.
Yeah, me either.
Oh, no. Okay, wait, stop. Redo it. Okay. So we're going to pick a point here. So instead of this being potassium and calcium, it's going to be sodium and iron. Okay? And so what we do is we have a point that starts, here-ish, okay, at 0.2 alumina, 1.5 silica, or 1.5 silica, and we incrementally increase the silica. Okay, and what happens is if you look at Stull, this starts glossy and then this dries up, but then we go up to 0.3 alumina, and now this one starts matte, and then as you add silica, it actually goes glossy, and then it goes matte again. It actually becomes underfired. Okay, 0.4 again, matte, matte, glossy, 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 dry. Okay, so we've got 6 tests recreating 6 lines on Stull, but using iron as a flux. And this is a totally new thing. No one's ever done this before. And so like this is super exciting. And I know it sounds like really boring, but you guys should be jazzed. It's awesome. Okay. So the way that this works is I'm going to post this. Actually, this lab is already on Blackboard right now in the what section did I put it under? It's in the labs. Yeah, it's under the labs section. Yeah, it's already there. So the way that these labs work is fairly simple, but it all looks crazy complicated. Okay? So on this spreadsheet, let's go through the parts so you can see what we're looking at. Okay. There's a few things that you can right up ignore. Okay, the first thing you're going to find is the tabs say reference, 9-point blank, 10-point blank, 11, 12, alkali code, and then NF1 equals 1.5 towards 7. You can ignore all of that. Okay? The first thing is, Jess, I'm going to write this down. You're going to get NF 2-1.5 equals 7. Got it? That's you.
2-1.5 equals 7. Okay.
Okay. So what we need to do is when you click on that tab, you'll find this sheet. Okay? And this is all the tests for that line that I just showed you. So this is starting the 2. NF stands for sodium, and F stands for iron, Fe, Na, and Fe. Okay? 2 stands for 0.2 alumina, which is the line on the map you're going to do. 1.5 is the starting point of the silica, and 7 is the ending point of the silica.
Okay.
Okay? So when you come onto the map, what you're going to find is a bunch of stuff you can't ignore. Okay, these yellow boxes are the compositions for each individual point. Okay, so you'll see NF 2-1.5. That's literally 0.2 alumina, 1.5 silica. The next is 2-2, which is 0.2 alumina, 2 silica. And then it just keeps going. 2.5 silica, 3 silica, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.56, 6.57. So it's literally just moving from left to right across that one line of stall. Okay? So this is the formula for each individual point, but I don't want you to batch those. These are just here in case you screw up later and you need to fix one point. You can go back and just batch one glaze. But I don't want you to be batching all these glazes. That's too much work. So what we're going to do instead is that if you come down here, do you see this box that says total batch that I'm highlighting?
No, I see a circle thing.
A circle thing?
With a weird mustache picture.
Oh, that's Georgie Orr. What do you mean weird mustache picture?
I don't know who that is.
You know who Georgie Orr is? Oh my
No.
The greatest spotter ever.
Oh my god.
No, I'm.
Don't admit
Jess, you
that
know who
publicly.
he is. Linda has talked about him a bunch.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know that picture.
He's the
You
Mad Potter
know
of
his
Biloxi.
work.
Yeah, he makes all the crazy pots.
Okay.
Garth Clark loves him. Okay, so can you see the spreadsheet again?
Yeah.
Okay. This box here, it's a little bit small, but it says total batch. Okay? And it says batch 1 and batch 2. Okay? Now, if you come to batch 1, what this is that this is the total glaze you're going to need to mix. You need to mix up this glaze.
Batch
Okay,
one.
that says total batch 1. And you also separately need to mix up batch 2. Okay? So these are large batches of the two endpoints. So batch 1 is actually this point over here, the 2-1.5. And batch 2 is this one, the 2.2, the 2-7.
Okay.
Okay. So, is everybody with me?
Kind
You don't
of.
have to know where we're going, but just if you're with me that we've got two glazes that represent two ends of a line.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So, here's what we're going to do. You're going to mix up these two batches, and they equal about 600 grams each. Okay? And that number is right here of how much this total batch weighs out to is 600 grams. So, you're going to mix up this glaze with 600 grams of dry material, and then I want you to add 600 grams of water. Okay? Make
Me
sense?
personally, or just
Everybody. This
Okay.
applies to everybody. This is how all of these tests work. Okay? So you'll add 600 grams of dry material and 600 grams of water. Okay, now that may be different for each individual one, which I'll show you in a second. But whatever this number here says, like this says 599.95, okay, that's 600. So I want you to weigh out 600 grams of water. Okay, so you now have this glaze with this amount of water. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to batch these two endpoints, and then we're going to wet blend each point in between. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our wet glaze, right, and then we're going to weigh out wet glaze. Okay, because what we can do is that instead of actually weighing out every single point on this glaze, so you know, like there's 12 points on this line, and that's like a shitload of weighing to be doing. What we're going to do is we're just going to weigh out the end points and then blend the points in between from the wet glaze. Because, trust me on this, the chemistry actually works by doing it wet and just combining the two endpoints. So, who's confused? Raise your hands. You all get it? Oh, awesome.
Well, can you just like repeat what you said about weighing
Kind
out
of.
the wet glaze?
Okay.
I mean, I understand what we're doing. I just didn't get that part.
That's fine. We are going to make the two endpoints. So, literally, if I share my screen again, if we go back to stall, right? Okay, so Jess's point starts here, or it starts here, okay, and it goes all the way to here, okay. So instead of batching all of the actual points one at a time, we're going to batch a large batch of this glaze and a large batch of this glaze with water. And then we're going to blend those two wet glazes together to make the points in between.
Instead of as opposed to like doing every single point individually dry.
Yep.
Okay.
Because if we did it dry, like there's 12 points, so There's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's 5 ingredients here. So times 12.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be doing 60 individual weights here to batch all of these points.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, we can just make a large endpoint of each. Okay? And then we come up to these green boxes. So this is the wet percentages that you're going to blend. Okay? So point number 1, okay, you're going to label the test tile. This one's going to be NF 2-1.5. Okay? Now, the first test tile is super easy. Just dip it in the endpoint. Okay? The second test tile is also super easy. You just dip it in the endpoint. But then what I need you to do is take your 2 wet glazes and go to the scale, and I need you to weigh out 180.18 grams of glaze A and 18.18 grams of glaze B. Now, obviously, these numbers are very
small. How much glaze B?
18.18.
And then glaze A was 180.18.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'll show you. These numbers are going to change based on the individual sheet. This is just for Jess's first sheet. But notice, if you add these together, those equal 200. Okay, and they equal 200 because that gives us 100 grams of dry glaze and 100 grams of water. Does that make sense? Uh-oh, I hear silence.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this is essentially a 100-gram glaze test that you got from wet blending the 2 ends. Okay? So you label that one NF 2-2, and I want you to apply the glaze to 4 individual test tiles. Okay, so I want you to make 4 test tiles from each point. Okay, so now you move on to the next one. The next one will be 163.62 grams of A and 36.36 grams of B. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then again, apply 4 test tiles of each for each glaze you make. Okay, so when you mix them, okay, you're going to have these wet glazes. I want them to. You then need to mix the wet glazes with a stick blender. Okay, with an immersion blender. You know, buzz it for a good 10 seconds, and then apply 4 test tiles each. Okay, and you do that for each individual point, and each point has got a different proportion of A and B. Does that make sense?
So I get a new cup and then pour wet and then blend.
Right.
Perfect.
Or it's easier if you just get 12 cups.
Okay.
Okay, and just lay them all out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, you know what I forgot? I need to go get a glass, but I'll show you in a second. Okay. And that's it. So you wet blends the ends, you mix the ends as a large glaze batch, and then you wet blend the points in between. Okay? Is everybody comfortable with that? If you are not, please tell me. It's not a problem. I know it's very confusing. And once you get it, once you do this, you'll be like, oh, that was so easy. But like now it looks really confusing because there's like sheets full of numbers and colors.
I mean, does the sheet full of numbers and colors have ratios for the points in between that we will follow? Or
that's what those numbers in the green part are.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So our job is just to mix?
Yep.
Okay, and it'll tell us all the ratios that we need. We don't have to figure them out? Or...
I already did all the math for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's sort of a bummer because, you know, I know you guys like want to get in there and like explore and play, and that's what your research project will be doing. Mm-hmm. This is literally just batch this stuff, put it on test tiles, and okay. You know, you're good to go. So so each of you have 2 of these sheets to do. Okay, so you have until at least next week to get them done. You know, I mean, we're not in any rush. We're only going to do 2 of these projects this semester. Okay, and then the rest of the time you'll just be doing your own research. Okay, so Jess, I'm going to give you NF 2-1.5 equals 7,
mm-hmm.
and NF 5-2 equals 7.
5-2 equals 7. Okay.
Okay. Beth, you're going to get NF 3-1.5 equals 7. Am I screen sharing? I don't know if I'm screen sharing right now.
No, you're not.
Oh, sorry. Oops. I really wish there was a better system for the screen sharing. I like Google Hangouts. It's the best we've got. But okay, so Beth, you're going to do NF 3-1.5 equals 7. And NF 6-2.5 equals 7. And Greg, you're going to get NF 4-2 equals 7. And NF
Wait, can you slow down? Sorry. NF
4-2 equals 7.
Okay.
And NF 7-2.5 equals 7.
Okay.
Okay, now a few things to note. So that first one that I showed Jess has 12 points. Okay? But not all of them have 12 points. Okay? So if we come down now, so I'm going to come to Greg's first one here. Okay? This one is NF 4-2 equals 7. This one only has 11 points, and that's because the chemistry is complicated. There are some glazes we cannot create at certain points on the map because the materials won't let us. So Greg's only has 11 points, okay, which is fine, but there's a few things to note. One, he does not have a 600-gram batch here. He has a 550-gram batch. That's important because don't add 600 grams of water to this. Only add 550 grams of water. Okay?
So
makes sense?
550 dry and 550 water.
Exactly. The next thing is you don't have the same weights for your wet blends that the previous one did. Okay? Yours are 180 and 20, 60 and 40. So you get nice round numbers. Whereas Jess and Beth's first one, you get crazy, scrappy numbers. I'm going to actually...
And all of those ratios are written in the yellow?
No, they're written in the green. Hold on one second. Okay, in this green are the ratios. So here's the point number 2. 100 grams of A, 180 grams of A, 20 grams of B. The next one is 160 grams of A, 40 grams of B.
Okay.
Okay, do you see it?
Sorry, yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the screen. I was confused.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. No, what the yellow are is if you say knock over your glaze bucket and you killed 1 point by mistake. What this is that oh, that's missing something. Oops, cancel. The yellow are if you have to batch this individual point as a glaze, this is the actual formula that you would batch. Does that make sense? Anybody? Bueller?
Yes.
Greg, does it make? Did we lose Greg? Oh, we lost. No, you're there.
Oh no, I'm here.
So
even
Sorry, go.
Okay, so Jess is doing 12 batches or 12 points, and she is doing 600 dry, 600 wet. And I am doing 11 points, therefore I am doing 550 dry, 550 water, and...
No, he hung up again.
Oh, he's frozen.
No, he's right, though. He's right. Okay, oh, he's back.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, but now here's the catch, Greg. So your last point, NF 7.25, right? Oops, let me screen share again. I wish there was a hotkey to screen share. Okay, so let me go to your last point because it's going to change again. So your last point is NF 7-2.5 equals 7. Okay? This one only has 10 points. Okay? So you'll notice the ratios here are changing. They're back to sort of crazy random numbers. Okay? And your wet batch is only 500 grams. So 500 grams dry, 500 grams of wet. Okay? Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So So let's see. So Jess and Beth's first line is going to have 12 points. Okay. Greg's first line is going to have 11. Jess's second line is going to have 11. And then Beth, your second line is only going to have 10, and Greg, your second line is only going to have 10. Okay? Okay. Make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great.
Yep,
go ahead.
When we're mixing these, how will we have enough material or wet material? Oh wait, never mind.
It's already calculated as such. That's why we're doing 600 grams or 500 grams, whatever you're doing.
And then 600 grams of water.
Right. And the whole thing is, remember, the 2 points on the end, you don't actually have to mix a new glaze.
Yeah.
You mix up this end point and just dip straight into that bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And make your 4 test tiles from there. Now, a few caveats that you're going to find. Some of these glazes, like Greg's second line here,
mm-hmm.
these glazes are probably going to be crazy thick. Okay? So, because they've got a lot of clay. Clay thickens our raw glaze. Okay? So, if they are too thick to work with, go ask Conrad to procure some Darvan and a dropper from the grinding room. Okay? And if you add literally just a few drops of Darvan, it will thin the glaze out. Okay? And it'll make it easier to deal with. Okay. The other thing is, so like Jess's first line and Beth's first line, those may be really watery. Okay? Because there's not as much clay in them. Okay? In fact, there's quite a little bit of clay. So there's going to be some variation. If your glazes are super thin, you may need to do a few extra dips just to make sure to get an adequate coating. Okay? Mm-hmm. So one other thing about glaze application. So we made all these great test tiles, and you guys, those test tiles look beautiful. Okay? When you mix your glaze, so you're going to have your 2 wet points, right? And I'm going to stop screen sharing. So we've got test tiles that sort of look like this, okay? So the way that we're going to do is you're going to go get quart containers from the grinding room, and we're just going to pretend that my pint glass is a quart container. Okay, you mix up your two wet glazes, okay, and you blend them together with your immersion blender. Okay, the way I apply a test tile is like this. I hold my tile thusly in between my thumb and my middle finger, and I put my index finger on the back. Okay, so I take my quart container, okay, and I tip it sideways, so you get a large surface area of your glaze is now covering the side of the glaze. I then come in with my test tile and I lay it flat on the surface of the glaze. Okay? I then count 1002, 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, and then I lift it out backwards. I try to lift the back end up first and pull it out and shake it so that any drips come off. Okay? It's a little bit wonky, but again, you sort of in between your thumb and your middle finger and your index finger on the back for support. You come in here. I wish I got quart containers downstairs. I just didn't grab them for today. Okay, so you come in at an angle. So now my glaze is flat, according to gravity. Okay, so you come in here and you lay it down from one end to the other, and this is pushing any bubbles out of the way. So now it's Sophie. Oh, the neighbor kids are outside. I'm going to ignore them. They want to come play with my son. So you lay it flat, give it a 3 count, and then lift it out backwards. Okay, so that way the glaze surface has equal time in the glaze. Okay, and you shake it off. And I'm not one to say that you need to go in and figure out exactly how thick the glaze is, but you guys have glaze experience. Get a good coating of glaze. Okay, so then when it's done, we've got the tile sitters that Greg extruded. You need to label the back of your test tile with that code at the top on the green. So NF3-1.5 or whatever. Write that on the back. And again, I want you to have 4 tiles. Okay? You need to have one labeled cone 10, one labeled cone 4, or one labeled cone 6, one labeled cone 4, and one labeled R for reduction. Okay, so we're going to fire these at all those different temperatures: 10, 6, 4, and reduction. So 4 tiles per glaze.
Is the reduction cone 10?
Well, that's what actually we're waiting to see. We're not going to fire the reduction right away because I don't know what temperature that these are going to melt at. They might go nuclear at cone 4, and I don't want to be firing a cone 10 reduction if they go crazy at cone 4, right? So we're going to fire at these 3 different temperatures, see what they do, and then we're going to save the reduction firing until we know. Okay? So you guys are going to have like a lot of, 40 tests, 48 tests per line, and you each have 2 lines. Okay? So it's going to be a ton of test tiles, but it's not that much work. It's just the wet blend, dip, 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 and get it done. So it's not. It sounds like a ton of work, and get some audiobooks, hang out in the Glaze lab, and knock them out. I'd like for this to be done in 2 weeks, so that we can get them fired and move on. Yeah. Are there questions? What am I forgetting?
Yes. Stoneware or porcelain? Does it matter?
Use the porcelain tiles for these.
Okay.
They'll look prettier that way. Yeah, so they're the porcelain tiles. Please label them with... Does everybody have a black underglaze pencil?
I do.
I will acquire one tomorrow.
Yeah, I think if they're not in the... I think they should be in the grinding room.
Yeah.
Please label with those. Label as clearly as possible. And then when they come out of the lab again, we talked about this last week, make sure to
Sharpie.
Go over them again with a Sharpie to make sure you can read exactly what's there. Okay? What else am I forgetting? That's basically it. I mean, do you guys feel comfortable? Feel free to tell me you don't feel comfortable. Like, Matt, you're full of shit. Like, you're just making this stuff up and make me look at numbers, and you're making my ears bleed, and, like, I got better things to do. Anybody feel that way? I do.
Nope.
No?
No, but so when we mix the... What do you call? The things that we don't know about yet. Our class project.
Yes.
The things we just got assigned. So if we're doing 600 dry, 600 wet, we're going to have a 1,200 grams total, right?
Right. But for your class projects, that's completely different.
Okay.
For your class projects, I just want you to work with 100-gram batches.
But what about the wet mixture?
No, well, like, so that doesn't apply for you, okay? Because let's look at your lab that we designed here.
Oh, wait, no, this is for the, I'm talking about the NF3-1.5.
Oh, okay, say that again then.
Those, blends.
Ask your question again then, because I guess I wasn't...
So we're going to have, 1,200 grams, right? Of each of A and B at the end? So we're just gonna we're just gonna measure like that, and it'll all even out and be great.
It will.
Okay.
Make sure your endpoints are really well mixed.
Okay.
Okay, go at them for 30 to 60 seconds with an immersion blender. It's not a terrible idea to hit them with a sieve, mix them with an immersion blender again. The other thing is when you're wet mixing, sometimes our glazes can settle out. So before you pour your glaze to weigh out the wet measure, make sure to even give it a little mix then. Okay? And before you apply your test tile, hit it with the immersion blender, okay? Blow off the surface to make sure there aren't any bubbles, and then dip your test tile. Don't give it time to settle out, because it might. We need to watch out for that. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep. Perfect.
Anything else? If you guys have questions, so I am supposed to make clear that Conrad is not our teaching assistant. You are not to bug This is the department's thing. you're not supposed to bug Conrad with stuff, but Conrad has done this before and done a lot of research with me. So you're more than, please ask me first, but like if you're like in the glaze lab and like, I haven't answered my email in the 30 seconds it took since you sent it, you can ask Conrad and he can pleasantly give you an answer, but you're not supposed to bug Conrad except for getting raw materials and coordinating kilns. Okay? Okay, so that's the group lab. If you guys aren't comfortable, send me an email, rewatch this video, any of that. It is posted on Blackboard now, but actually as I'm sitting here, I'm futzing around with some of the fonts and stuff, so it's a little easier to read. So I'm going to repost a new version here in a second. Make sure it's all easy to read. That's pretty easy. Okay. So I'm going to save this and repost it to Blackboard. So you can go and download that now. And like I said, if you can get this done in 2 weeks, I will be super pleased. Don't kill yourselves. I know everybody's got a lot of work going on. Yeah, I think 2 weeks should be enough to do it without you like losing your shit. Okay, so then going back to each person's individual projects. Greg, I have a copy of some Celadon glazes that I have found that I will post to Blackboard that you can harvest if you want.
Okay.
So just more background research, and I will post that in the lab section right now.
Okay.
So like I said, so for you for the next week, I want you to just go and collect as many Celadons as you can and batch them and get them fired. Okay? Because I want you to have a ground game with which to reference from. So literally, I mean, take these, but then go out and find more. And just collect as many Celadons as you can. And let's look at some of the variations, and you can start to decide what you like, what you don't like, blah, 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 blah. So here's a collection of Celadons I made for someone else. So that is now on Blackboard under the labs, under the Celadon section there for you to take. And then, and I'm going to post Beth's here because I already did your work for you. So Beth, I want you to mix up these glazes and make sure they work.
By next week? Or in 2 weeks?
For next week if you can. So again, these are your individual research projects. So the whole thing is, I'm not going to nag you guys to get stuff done. The group projects I'd sort of like on a deadline so that we can keep stuff moving.
Yeah.
But I have no interest in nagging you guys. Like, I know everybody's busy and all of that. So, especially as far as the individual research projects, we talked about this last week, but here's the deal, you guys. I'm not your mom, okay? I want to encourage you to do great stuff, okay? And to do great stuff, it takes time in the lab. I get it. Everybody's got studios. Everybody's got a lot of stuff to do. It's going to take time in the lab. And here's my basic metric. If you get it done, if you do a good job, if you show me that you really attacked it, that you're dealing with the problem, that you've got a bunch of tests, that you're trying a lot of variations, you're talking to me, great. You'll get a good grade. If you fuck around, I'm sorry, we're being recorded. If you don't do it, it's very obvious, and I will give you, I'm not even going to nag you. I will just give you a terrible grade at the end of the semester. I probably am not even going to give you an exam because I don't think I have to since it's an elective. Like, seriously, I just want to see you guys do cool stuff in the lab and learn a whole lot. Okay? My expectations are just do the work. So, I would like to see it every week. Now, we talked about last week. Here's the one deal. Okay, Jess, are you graduating?
Yep.
Greg, are you graduating? No,
yes.
You are. Okay, so you guys have got serious deadlines, and I know that you're super busy. Here's the thing. I would say you've got 10 weeks to get your research done because the semester's 15 weeks, and you're going to lose your minds at some point in there. Sorry, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would really like to see all of your research done by the end of March, which is not a lot of time away. But as long as you hit the lab, and again, couple hours a week, mix up a bunch of glaze tests, go in your downtime. You can even, if you can get the videos to play on your phone, you can listen to me prattle on while you're mixing glaze tests, like whatever, figure out how to get it done. Hey, you want to bring in your laptop and show everybody the lectures and how awesome they are? I don't mind. Just get stuff done. That's all I want to see from you. Okay? Deal?
Yeah.
Deal.
Okay. Don't screw around. Get it done. We'll be bestest friends. So then go. Okay. So Beth, yours is now posted on Blackboard under Labs. Greg, I posted some Celadons for you. So Jess, I don't think I actually saved the ones for you though.
I have them written down.
You do? Okay, good. Hold on one second. Balone.
V.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alone.
Yep.
Okay, give me the glazes.
It was Kelly's revision, if that helps. I don't remember what you named it though.
It was, but I don't even remember.
Anyway.
Let's see. So it was. Yeah, go ahead, lay it on me.
You want matte first?
Sure.
It's, Nefsi 30.9.
30.
Whiting. Sorry.
I froze?
Oh no, I froze.
Oh, okay.
Everything froze. Internet.
Oh, Alfred, internet. I don't miss you, Time Warner. Okay, Whiting.
Okay. Whiting 15.67.
Okay.
EPK 22.53.
Mm-hmm.
And 3124 30.9.
30.9. And
Yep.
this was 6. Okay. What was it? And then was there a gloss or were there two mats?
Gloss. You ready?
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Nefsi 24.32.
4.32. Yep.
Whiting 12.33.
1 second. 33. Okay.
EPK 17.74.
Okay.
3124. 24.32. And then
4.32. There's got to be Flint in there.
yep, 21.28.
2.8. Okay. Okay. And it was just those two?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys something about this spreadsheet, which I haven't shown you yet. So there is a little feature on these that I'm giving you, in that you can do the individual tabs, and I just rewrote over Beth's, but if you come down here, you've got your 10 glazes, then there's one that says collective. Everybody see the thing that says collective?
Mm-hmm.
If you click on that, this is actually all those 10 glazes on one sheet. So when you go to batch, you don't have to print out 10 individual sheets. Just print out the one and you waste less paper.
Cool.
Okay? So now what we were talking about with you, though, was trying different ROs at cone 6.
Yep.
Right? So we're going to do a lecture is actually going to be about playing with the spreadsheet and sort of seeing how things work. But I'm going to do some play, and hopefully this is educational for you guys. But I'm sorry if I move too fast. So for cone 6, we're trying to hit a certain boron level with a certain flux ratio and trying different sources. So the problem that we hit is that Frit 3124 is basically a glaze all into itself, and it has a ton of calcium. So what we want to do is we want to try a different Frit, and here's the problem. If we do Frit 3134, there's too much calcium. And that leaves us with Frit 3185. And here's the thing. This is what I want you to try. I'm going to give you a few different variations.
Okay.
And I need you to go to the grinding room and see if Keith has any 3185. Because literally, I checked the bucket last week, and it's a rock. Like, it's unusable. Because 3185 actually absorbs water and then turns into basically plaster. But if it does work, it would be awesome, because you could do something like this, where you do Frit 3195 or 3185 at like 15%, and then barium at 50%. Okay, so again, I'm going to move really fast, but I'll save this so you can see it, and you guys can go back and watch the YouTube video and see what I'm doing. So you're at 0.93.7, so I'm going to make this 40, 20, 10, 8, 9, 8.5. Okay, so all I was doing is renormalizing this glaze to 0.3 to 0.7. But the boron level is still super high. So now I need to add in nepsi to bring that down. I'm going to make that 50, and I'm going to make this 50. And that's about where I want it to be. So if I make this 55, 56. Okay. So now, through the magic of television, I have now made a glaze here that's got a boron level that I like at cone 6, about 0.2. Although that actually could be a little bit lower. Let's take that down. 12, 13. Okay, I like that a little bit better. So now the glaze that you've got has got sodium, okay, and barium at cone 6. And we'll get into how much boron you need at various temperatures. But basically, at cone 6, 0.17 is a great boron level. Okay, so now we need to get some more clay in here. We generally need 10% clay in a glaze to make it float so it doesn't sink. 15, that's pretty good. And we're just going to make this glossy to start off with. We can mess with making a matte glaze later, but I'm just going to start with making it glossy. 50, 40, 30, 20, 25, 22, 23.
So you're still trying to get the silica-alumina ratio 7:1?
Yep. Okay, so now, this isn't a bad little glaze, okay? So what we can do is paste that and say that this is cone 6 barium. And I have no idea whether this will work. I don't know whether Frit 3185 will work. Okay, I'm really hanging it out there. So now we did it with barium. Now we can do what we did with Beth, where we can literally go and paste this formula and switch out barium for strontium, and it should be basically, basically the same. Right? That went down a little bit. So I'm going to make this 30, and I'm going to make that 30. That's still too low, so 28, 26, 25. All right, I know I'm being a terrible teacher and not explaining to you guys what I'm doing, but sometimes it's just easier to work fast. 13, 14. Okay, so again, now we've got the same thing, but now this is cone 6 strontium. And if these work, then we can actually, I can let you can go and do exactly what I'm doing that I had done for Beth, where you can just go and take out do these same formulas and literally just mix them without the flint. And theoretically, if this all works, they should just go matte.
Okay, so just mix. I don't have to change anything else, just take the flint out? Or should I take the flint numbers out so it...
you could go in and delete the level of flint, and that'll normalize it.
Yeah, that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So let's do zinc, cone 6. And I promise, by the end of the term, you guys will know how to do what I'm doing. It's just... let's see. So now I switch this out for zinc, but that is off. So I want this to be 15, 16, 17. And there we go. Good to go. So there's zinc, Okay, so now we've got a gloss, a matte, barium, strontium, zinc, and then MgO. Oh, I really don't want to do MgO, but we'll do it anyway. Because now I have to renormalize. So again, we're going to come in here and pick talc.
Talc.
Okay, now that's 25, 30, 28, 3 to 0.7, 0.4, 0.18. So now I just bring down the silica to 10, 5, 0, 2, 3, 2.5. Okay. So here is an MgO recipe. So now we go 6, magnesium. Okay, so if I want to take this and I want to make it matte, so I will come in here, I will paste that, and literally, well, see, now the MgO is not going to go matte. Okay, I could re-engineer this with the mag carb, but with the talc, it's not going to go matte. So actually, I'm going to abandon that one right off the top. But with the zinc, this should be able to go. If we take out the silica, there we go. As we take out the silica, we're under 5 to 1. Now, here's the catch. I keep saying 5 to 1 is this solid thing. When we start to add in barium, that line starts to move back towards 4 to 1. So I can't guarantee that this will go matte, but we can try it and see. Okay. Cone 6, the N matte. So, again, we just do the same with all of these. Copy this. And paste it. So we did zinc, we need strontium. Copy. Paste. Take out the flint. So again, we're at that same 4.7 to 1. We can talk later about how to get this into a better matte region if this doesn't work at a later point. So that's cone 6, strontium matte, and then barium. Copy. Paste. Take out the flint. Rebalance it. I know. Anybody bored yet? Anybody got any good jokes?
No, but I heard something really beautiful today.
What's that?
So Freddie was like doing shelves or something, and then we asked him about, the possibility of that train kiln or whatever, the conversation about it. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, I don't know. And then we asked him if he would like it, and he said, I don't really care because all the kilns are good. They're like a garden.
Garden of kilns. Well, I mean, I don't know. So, I did my undergrad in Alfred too, and I mean, it's the classic thing of the time I decided to come to Alfred was when I walked into the kiln room.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Right? Like that was what made the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because where I came from a tiny little high school in Maine, and I literally had one kiln. We had one kiln. Mm-hmm. A tiny little scut barrel kiln. It was all manual controlled. My teacher, who was a lovely woman, knew nothing. The kiln sat directly on the ground. I'm sure I would love to go. Actually, the art department's not in that building anymore, but I'd love to go see the linoleum it was sitting on. I'm amazed it didn't melt. And that's what we did. And all of our glazes were out of a bottle. And so when I showed up in Alfred and all of a sudden here's this kiln room, like, oh my God.
Not a barrel in sight. Do we have any?
Oh no, my headphones are dying. Hold on one second.
There's one out by the wood kiln.
Oh.
But I don't think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that generic scut. Oh no! Uh-oh. It'll be okay. My wife got me one of those little BB-8 toys from the iPhone-controlled, like remote-controlled BB-8 toy for Christmas. I just dropped it on the floor. That's okay.
Oh no.
It's okay. My son has done worse. He's picked it up and thrown it.
The baby?
No, the 4-year-old.
Oh.
I mean, he loves it, but, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, what are you going to do? Okay, so I'm going to do this with mag carb. Again, this is going to be 15, 15, 16, 17. Okay, 0.45, down to 5, 0.36, 8. Oh, Sophie, don't think you're going out again. Okay, I'm done. Woo.
Whoa.
Okay, so I will save this, and I will post this to Blackboard now in the lab section. One 6 RO. Okay. So, okay, any other questions, you guys?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
So just so I don't go about this wrong, for my, all these different recipes, all these different bases, do I mix them all individually?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for these, for your individual research project, you have to mix all of those individually.
Yeah. You can't do a thingy.
No, because you're using all the different materials.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
So yeah, those you have to batch individually. So
Okay.
You've got 10, Jess has got 10, Greg's probably got about 10. So mix up all of those, and they're just going to be clear bases, no colors, no nothing. Just try those bases. We're going to see how they work. Like for the most part, Beth, I know yours are going to work. Jess's are going to be a mystery, but hey, that's what we're going to find out.
Right.
It might be a disaster, and we might have to start from scratch with a whole nother way of doing things. So we're going to find out. Any other questions?
Yeah. So about February 10th, we should have our group one done. That's about. Is that when you're thinking? Okay.
Today's the 27th. 7th. So the 3rd. Well, yes. Yeah.
For our meeting, the 10th.
Right. I would really love to have those fired for the 10th.
Okay.
So and maybe a day to scan. So if you can have those done by next Friday-ish, that would be amazing.
Cool.
And they're all pretty simple. Okay. All of those are just NEFSI, red iron oxide. We're going to be using a lot of red iron oxide, and don't use Spanish red iron oxide. Use regular red iron oxide, EPK, flint, and soda ash. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how do you feel about digital scales? Do you trust them?
Yeah. Oh, digital scales are great.
Okay.
I mean, you mean the digital scales at Alfred? Those are pieces of shit. I'm just kidding. They're fine. Yeah, I use a digital scale myself. It's great like that. I mean, ours take a lot of abuse. A lot of people weigh out their weed on them, which throws off the calibration. And it gets a lot of ceramic materials in their weed. So I am not kidding. I am not kidding you guys. I have totally found weed on our scales before.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I may have found cocaine, but you can't tell the difference between cocaine and kaolin.
That's what that yellow glaze was.
Right. Yeah, I know. So.
That's crazy.
People are weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it should work just fine. That big scale, though, that thing, I don't know. That thing, I swore, because I was gone last semester, I swore that scale would be gone by the time I came back. It was a beautiful scale when it worked, but now it's like, I don't know. That big one's like swings like crazy. If you can get it to work, more power to you.
Okay. So any digital scale will work? Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I have like my own digital scale that's like clean and stuff.
Oh, if it's pretty accurate, how many points past the decimal point does it have?
Let me check. It's on my desk.
It's probably just 1, which is okay.
Where do I find that?
If you turn it on,
Uh-huh.
the decimal point should show up.
Just one.
Just one. That's okay. Be as accurate with the weighing as you can.
Yeah,
a digital scale with 2 is better. They're more expensive, but
okay. This is just for like postage. That's why.
Postage.
My grandma. Yeah, so I can just click and ship online. It's great.
You mean for weighing out drugs, don't you, Beth?
No.
Don't do drugs, guys. Drugs are bad. Okay, yeah, no, that. It should be fine as long as it goes up to the weights that we need. Often those will have weights or limited weights. It does metric.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes they'll only do like ounces. So.
Yeah. Oh
okay,
wow!
great.
I didn't even know about these functions. I just use the ounce.
There you go.
That sounds bad. That's what you weigh out drugs in.
Yeah.
Also postage.
That's drug talk. I'm gonna narc on you. Okay. All right. Everybody good? We comfy, cozy?
Yes.
Okay. So lab 1 or lecture 1 is up. Listen to the lecture. I will try to get lecture 2 up by Wednesday morning next week, assuming my life is less chaos. So the lectures should come out every week on Wednesday. That's my plan. This one's an hour and a half. I'm going to try to keep them about that length. But like I said, all the Glaze 1 lectures are up. So if you're just thirsty for content, and since Jess has taken the first class, but Greg and Beth haven't, go ahead and like drink those up because you can do them while you're doing other stuff. And it'll help you along the way.
Okay.
Okay? Alrighty, folks. I'll catch you all later.
Okie doke.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Matt.